Well, yeah. So I think what's notable is that USC had to first get its house in order, which it did with the Chad Bowden move. And so when you have administrative changes such as that, I can imagine that the portal would not have been as hot in December, January as it would have been in past years. And of course, a year ago, bringing in Danton Lynn, bringing in Coach Henney, in the early winter weeks. It just wasn't the time to really focus on the portal because it was important to get the right defensive coordinator. It was important to get the right defensive staff. And so USC sacrificed rightly, I want to be clear, rightly, not doing too much in the December, January portal window. And now, what really stung USC last season was not being able to do something in the spring, not landing the plane with Derek Harmon, who went on to have a very productive, impactful year up in Eugene for Dan Lanning. So why do I mention all this? It was important to get the general manager, Chad Bowden, established in the winter. So it's similar parallel, right? It wasn't really the time to focus on the portal. But now here we are, and now we have a real GM, a true administrator. And that to me is one of the big points of emphasis. Can USC get a big fish offensive and defensive lineman in the spring portal window? Because obviously we're all really excited about the 2026 recruiting class, but that's next year. What about 2025? And we went through last year where when injuries hit, and they're going to hit, I mean, the extent is always the question, but football is a sport where injuries happen. You need to have depth. We knew USC was vulnerable if it got really bad injury luck last year, and it did. So USC does not have the depth to withstand, bad or, worse than normal injury luck. So the Trojans absolutely need those portal pieces up front. And that's really the next test, the next measurement for Chad Bowden at USC. As much as he correctly, in a big picture sense, says, we need to focus on Southern California recruiting, not so much the portal. I agree with him. But for this 2025 season and this 2025 roster, we need to get some linemen in this spring portal window. If we don't, we're just not going to have enough bodies, enough overall heft, I think, to get where we want to go.
Absolutely, Matt. Even if you're active in recruiting, we're obviously in an age where the portal is way more active than it's ever been, and you can't ignore the portal. I think that a couple other positions that I would point out that USC will probably be looking at is definitely linebacker. They're certainly a little thin there. They've already apparently scheduled a couple of linebackers to host in South Dakota's Gary Bryant and Boise State's Drew Simpson. So look out for those two to have visits this week. And then also at wide receiver, it's obviously a little bit thin behind Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon. Those guys are, potential superstars this year, but especially with, their third receiver at this point is probably Lake McCree, and he's had a bunch of injury issues, and he obviously plays tight end, not wide receiver. But so I think that that's another position that they should look to be active in too, for sure.